Hi everyone, Jeanette here with Vivo Vintage Designs. Welcome to my mess. Created this mess earlier today when I was trying to speed through a video, and I created this mess here. So now that I have the time, I am going to take my time and show you how I created this painting, or show you a version of it. All right, so I've got some colors here. I have teakwood, espresso, pebble, honeycomb, sunshine yellow, and Valencia. But I think the Valencia is too bright, so I'm going to switch it to the sunset orange. Is that metallic? No. Okay, sunset orange. And I have a couple of different brushes here. I have a couple of angled brushes and a round brush and a pointy brush. So a round pointy brush. I also have some turquoise colored acrylic paint. So, all right, the first thing we're going to do is to create this sunflower is I want to use, that's too thick. Oh, I have a couple of micron pens. So I'm just going to dot the center of my flower here so I have a bit of a guide. Doesn't have to be perfect. I just want to make sure that I know where the center of my flower is. And then I'm going to use the ink straight out of the bottle. I am not going to use alcohol at all, just the straight paint. So I'm going to start with the the sunset orange, and I'm just putting it straight on my brush. I'm doing it off camera because I don't want to drip it on the painting. So I'm just putting it straight on the brush, and I'm making sure that I have a good coating on the brush, and I am going to begin painting my petals. And I'm not concerned what the end of the petals look like because I will be outlining them later on and they will not be showing. So have fun with it. Nothing about this has to be perfect. And if one is longer than the others, don't worry about it. We're going to fix all that later on. So just put in your first layer of petals, and then we're going to put other petals that will be over these. So I'm not even going to clean my brush. I'm just going to add sunshine yellow on this, right on the brush. And I'm going to start adding more petals. I'm adding a little bit more of the ink as I go along. Now I am going to put a little bit of the alcohol on my brush straight to clean off some of that orange because I want more yellow on here now. So I cleaned it off a little bit. Not very well, but that's okay. Oh, Diesel just came downstairs. So you may hear some snoring or coughing, sneezing. Only heaven knows. So I have a lot of orange petals. And now I want to get some more yellow ones. So if I have to clean off the brush along the way, rather if you have to clean off your brush, do so. And then dry it off well. Put some more ink on it. And just keep adding petals. Don't be afraid to go over ones that you created before. And I have one more color, honeycomb, and I really don't like the way that's looking there. So even though I'm going to outline it, I'm still going to go over it and see if I can get rid of some of those hard lines. So you can see you don't have to be able to draw. You don't have to be an artist. You just got to be able to make the shape of a petal vaguely. And don't be afraid to cover up anything you don't like, because we can fix it all later on. Okay, I'm going to leave it like that. And now we're going to make sure that this is completely dry, so bear with me 1 second. And now we're going to work on the center. So I still have the dots. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the teak wood, and I'm using this smaller brush. I'm going to put a drop of it on the brush, and I'm going to start dotting it in. That's more what I wanted. And now I want to go far out enough that I cover those black dots that I did with the Micron pen. And then I'm going to bring it in again because I want that little bit of texture that going over it gives you. And I'm switching to the espresso now. I'm putting a drop on the brush again. And I'm just going to dot. And try not to go over dots that you made already that are still wet, because all it does is make one big blob. I know it's easier said than done, but if you can avoid going over wet areas, do so. Okay, and the last color that I'm going to use is Pebble. Again, I'm putting it on the tip of the brush, and I want to go along the outside here. Make this a little bit lighter. I'm going to dry this a little bit. If you have to dry it in between, don't be afraid to. Because like I said, if you go over dots that are already wet, it just creates a blob. And I'm going to pick up a little bit more of the teak wood because I want my center to be the darkest area. So I'm putting another little drop on there, and I'm just going to start going around in a circle, almost like a spiral. Maybe I'll add some out here since they just look like big old dots. All right, I'm happy with that. Now comes what I think is the fun part. Let me dry this again. And I am using the, this is a 12 or a 0.07, I mean 70. And this is where I start to outline my petals. So you can make them whatever shape you like. And you don't have to follow the lines outside here, but within this inner area you really should. So just go around your entire flower and do your outline. I prefer to use a thicker marker for the outline of the petals, and then to add my shading or my lines in it for detail, I will use a finer tip marker. Now I chose a turquoise. I don't know why. I don't even know how well it's going to look. Usually I do the backgrounds in black, but I don't know. That color popped out at me when I was looking for a paint, so I decided to go with it. We'll see how that works out. Okay, so there we go. We have, oops, missed one. All my petals outlined. And now a lot of people have troubles with these lines. So I'm going to show you an easy way to do this, and it'll be a repetitive pattern, but it'll still give you the same effect. When you're doing these lines, you want the tip of your all your lines to follow the contour of the leaf, or the petal rather, and meet at the tip. And your lines don't have to be straight. They can be wiggly, they can be skippy. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to follow the contour. And there's my first line, following the shape of this side, meeting at the top. I'm going to do one in the middle, meet there, and then I'm going to do one on this side and one on this side. And if you want, you can add more at the bottom. That's up to you, but this is very simple if you just follow this. So do your first line on one side, let it meet at the point at the top, do one in the center. You don't even have to go all the way up, and then do one on each side. And you can make those go up if you want to, all the way to the center or not. So, all right, I'm not going to make you watch me fill out this entire flower, so I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so I have almost finished here. I'm going to do the last two, and just to go over it with you, start at the base of the petal and just follow the shape along the side. You can do one line on each side, do one up the center, however long you want it, and you can do one on each side and make those as long as you want them as well. So my last one here. And there you go. All right, so now I want a little shading before, let me put the cap on this before I make a mess. You can see in this one that I added a little shading in the ones that lie underneath the front petals. So how I did that was to just start at the center, by the center rather, and just flick my pen up and create a few lines where it should be darker because it's in shadow. And you don't have to go crazy. You don't even have to do this at all if you don't want to. I missed one. So don't do lines straight up and down. Make sure that you flick your marker. And I could go crazy like I usually do and do shadows, do more shadowing, but I wanted to keep this simple. So, all right, let me make sure that I'm still in frame here. I have a tendency to go out of frame. All right, so now I'm going to take my acrylic paint and I'm going to just pour some in a little cup. And I'm going to start out with my small angled brush on adding the background. So I'm going to be careful. And this may require 2 coats. This paint is really thin. Maybe this blue was not a good idea. Let me go see if I can find another. In the meantime, let me see if I can get this off with just a little piece of paper towel without ruining the rest of the painting. I really thought that color was going to look nice. Well, that's too bad. Oh well. All right, let's see what I can find. I'll be right back. Okay, so I found a blue that I liked, and this is just some very inexpensive acrylic paint. It's by Sargent Art, and I happen to have a bunch of this paint. So I am just using my little angled brush to get in there. And this may need a second coat. So if it does, I will let it dry and add the second coat. Usually the black, I use the same brand when I do my black backgrounds, and that dries beautifully, and it only usually needs 1 coat. So let's let this dry and see how it looks. But I think already that I can see it needs a second coat. So let's let it dry and we'll come back and see. Okay, so I did let it dry and I could see that it needed a second coat. So I went ahead and I did a second coat. And as I was applying the paint, the blue paint, I could see that I was going over some of my black outline. So I am just going to outline the outside of my petals again. Because you want to keep those lines visible. You can see how pretty that looks. I don't know why I was so set on blue today. I always do my backgrounds in black, but that turquoise color jumped out at me when I was looking for paint, and I really am glad that I went with my gut, because I really do like the way the blue stands out against that orange and yellow. Oops. Okay. Now I was thinking of adding a border to this, and I didn't know whether I should do a black border. I also have some gold. I have a gold Posca pen, so I was thinking maybe gold, just to do something different, and hopefully I won't regret giving this a try. All right, so I have a gold Posca pen, and this tip is a big tip. It's a 1.8 or 2.5. That's what it reads. I'm not sure what it means because everything is in Chinese. All right, so I've shaken it up. There it goes. Pump it out, and I hope I don't regret this. I'm going to put the tip against the border, the edge of the paper, and use that as my guide. And I'm going to take my time. It's not really showing all that well, but I'm hoping that when I come through with a second coat that it'll show up a little bit better. And if you have a petal that's touching the edge of the paper, just skip over it. Don't paint it. And take your time. If you decide to do an edge as well, take your time. So the tip of my Posca pen is half on and half off the paper, and that's why I'm able to do a pretty straight line so far. Hopefully I won't jinx myself. So I'm really taking my time. All right, so I've got a little border all the way around, but it doesn't really show so well, so I'm just going to go over it one more time and see if that makes a difference. Oh, it does. Okay, that looks much better. Okay. Now, of course, you know I want to do a black border around the gold border, but I'm going to stop. I'm just going to leave it alone. Anyway, that turned out really pretty. That would make a really nice card, or even just framed, it would be really pretty. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you give it a try. Let me bring it up to you a little bit closer so that you can see the detail. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Show me your support by doing any one of those things. If you have any questions regarding any of the techniques you've seen me use, or any questions at all, just drop them in the comments. I'll get back to you. I always respond. And take a look in the description box for a list of all the products used and links. Thank you so much again, and I'll see you in the next video.